This video is supported by TBC Live. TBC Live is an app where you can tip NRL games as well as predict NRL games as they're happening live. You can chat with other people and content creators of rugby league. There is weekly IQ and ranked leaderboards as well as tipping competition. TBC Live has it all. Download TBC Live today. There's now 4 days until the NRL 2025 season begins, kicks off in Vegas. I've been looking forward to making this video. You've seen 10 bold predictions and it's gone off. Everyone's loving that video. And now it's time to predict something that's going to happen, a bold prediction for every team in the NRL in 2025. First up is the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now, this is obviously a team I have playing finals football. I think they have a nice balanced roster and some good coaching to succeed this season. But something that they have struggled in recent years is that Anzac Day game. Now, they've won probably 2 of the last 10 Anzac Day games. Roosters have had the better of them. This year, I think they match up really well against the Roosters. I think they play twice, but the bold prediction is that the St. George Illawarra Dragons will win the Anzac Day match by at least 8 points or more. They could win 13 plus. They could win by 2 points, but I'm predicting the Dragons to win by a minimum of 8 points against the Roosters on Anzac Day. Next up is the Parramatta Eels, and this is a tough one to predict because it could be a great season, could be a bad season, but I'm going to stay away from the season predictions and say that Dick Penasini, will make his NRL debut by round 14. Now, whether it be around that sort of time of origin or even earlier in the season, whether it be injuries to the centre or backline, I think that Richard is a player with a lot of talent and he's been knocking on the door of an NRL debut for the last couple of years. Will Penasini re-signing with the club? I think he's going to be pushing to get his brother in the team, and Richard will make an appearance in rounds, let's say 2 to 14. Next up is an extremely bold take for the Wests Tigers. I'm going to say that they beat the Penrith Panthers in at least one of their matchups. They play each other twice throughout the season, and I just think Jerome Luai is going to, and even Taruva is going to have their team riled up. I think the Tigers look to be in for a much better year in 2025. I predicted them to finish 13th on the NRL ladder, and I believe that one of their wins will come against the Penrith Panthers. Next up, let's talk about the Canberra Raiders. Now, as for the Raiders, I have this team quite low on the ladder in 14th position. I think they lack experience, but I think they're going to have a really good game against the Gold Coast Titans. I think the Titans will finish higher on the ladder than the Raiders, but I'm going to say that in the match between the Raiders and the Titans, the Raiders actually score 40 points in this game. So the Raiders to score 40 or more on the Gold Coast Titans. As for the Penrith Panthers, I know a lot of people think this team are going to finish 3rd or even 5th. I've got them in 2nd with a very successful season, but I feel like there's going to be one game in 2025 that the Panthers are going to lose in Golden Point. Now, they've had some games that have gone right down to the wire in recent years. The game against the Dolphins last year, the game against the Eels in 2023. I think they have a very different side, but I still think they're going to be dominant. But when it comes to those big time moments, Cleary is a fantastic player who can get it done. So I'm going to go the other way with a bold prediction and say that the Panthers lose a Golden Point game in 2025. Now, Latrell Mitchell, we're talking about the South Sydney Rabbitohs here, and look, he's due back around round 7, round 8, back into the NRL. I'm going to say that after 2 seasons ravaged with injury and an opportunity to play for the Blues, which I think he might miss out on. I think there's some players in front of him just due to the time he's missed as well. Laurie Daly might make some different picks, but my bold prediction is that Latrell Mitchell will play every NRL game from round 13 to 27. So 14 straight rounds there, unless obviously South Sydney have the bye. But he gets through, no injury, no suspensions, nothing like that. I think there's a big year from Latrell in the back end. Now for the New Zealand Warriors, you saw this one in 10 bold predictions. I'm sticking with it from round 11 to 17, 6 possible rounds there. A tough draw. I'm predicting the New Zealand Warriors to concede 50 points in one of these games. I just think some team is going to run over the top, put on a wild score against the Wars, and the Warriors will concede 50 between rounds 11 to 17 in one of those matches. Now, for the Manly Sea Eagles, I'm going the way of DCE in a bit of a fantasy one. I'm going to go Daly Cherry Evans to score over 113 Supercoach points in a game. Now, I feel like 100 is sort of a score. I feel like high 80s is a score for a halfback to have a great game. But to have an exceptional game and go close to about 120 points, I'm predicting just once this year that DCE has a massive score, very close to 120, could even reach 120. I'm going over 113 Supercoach points for Daly Cherry Evans. For the Sharks, I'm going the way of Blake Brayley. I think it's going to be a massive year from Blake Brayley, and I feel like he averages around that sort of 7, maybe even less. It's hard for a hooker to get them. I'm going to say that Blake Brayley gets over 10 try assists this season in a really good year from Blake Brayley. Got some good forwards around him, hopefully some good kicking game, and he likes to run and score some tries himself. But this year, I think he'll be assisting others plenty. For the Cowboys, I'm going to say that the Queensland Derby game goes off this year and that the Cowboys and the Broncos will go right down to the wire. But NRL will be forced to apologise after the Cowboys lose to the Broncos in an extremely controversial NRL call. Something will happen in Cowboys-Broncos that will be talked about for a long time to come, and the Cowboys will lose, and well, they probably shouldn't, according to most in this game, if what I'm predicting happens. For the Titans, I think that he was absolutely electric last season, but I feel like Jojo Fafita might play wing, centre. He scores a lot of tries for the Titans, but I'm going to say that Jaden Campbell, that electric player, playing in the number 6, I don't think number 6s are known for scoring tries. Jaden Campbell to have more tries this season than Jojo Fafita for the Gold Coast Titans. Now, this might be the boldest prediction of the video, but for the Dolphins, I'm going to predict that an NRL player will announce that they will join the PNG team in 2027 by signing a deal for their future. Now, a lot of young players around the Dolphins, but a lot of experienced players as well. Players who are getting to the back end of their career, players who still have so much potential. And I think there are some options for a player to head over to this new chapter. We saw, these players join a brand new club in the Dolphins. And I think one of the Dolphins will be the first signings for the PNG side this season. I think we're underrating just how much losses the Roosters have this season, and they could be really, really poor in 2025. I've got them in 10th position, but I think they're going to lose both of their games to the rivals, the Rabbitohs. It'll be massive for Roosters fans to lose both games, both encounters to South Sydney. They have a decent record against South Sydney, but I think South Sydney's going to get the better of them. I think they got that next up man mentality regardless of injury. I expect a better year from Souths than the Roosters, and my bold prediction is the Roosters lose both games against South Sydney. Now, I think it's going to be a really good year from the Brisbane Broncos, who I've got sneaking into the top 4. And I'm going to predict a pretty bold one here, that the Broncos erase a 12-point deficit in under 7 minutes to win the match. There's going to be a game, they're down by 12 points. They end up scoring more than 12 points in a period of 7 minutes, and they end up winning that NRL game in 2025. Next up is the Melbourne Storm, and with the Melbourne Storm, I think they're in for a fantastic season of football, but I'm going to say that they win exactly 4 games by 8 points. I think there's going to be 4 games in the whole year that they win by an exact margin of 8 points, which is pretty bold in my opinion. And I think one of them might be in round 1 against the Eels. Now that the secret is out, I have the Canterbury Bulldogs in 9th position on the ladder. My bold prediction for the Bulldogs is that after a successful year, they win 1 of their last 4 games in 2025. They have an incredibly tough draw to end the year, and I think that is what's going to cost them a final spot. People think this team is going to be top 4. They have incredible defence, but when I look at that draw at the end, I think it's going to be some stuck in the mud, and I think they're going to get 1 win from their last 4 games. There you have it, guys. All 17 teams in the NRL, a bold prediction for 2025. Make sure you let me know your bold prediction in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new around here. At 5,000 subscribers, I will be giving away an NRL membership. And please check out the codes in the description and links to join my NRL tipping comp, my TBC live tipping comp, and my Super Coach comp as we get into the 2025 season. We're almost there. Not much longer. I'll see you guys later.